My name is Marie Merklinger from Germany. I'm an activist for the Nordic model. I'm a feminist. I'm working for equality of men and women, for equality of First Nation people. I'm working for equality of all human beings. So I have to be for the Nordic model, and that's what I'm working for. I entered prostitution. I was 42 years old after a long time searching for a job, and I couldn't find. And I was really desperate. I was in a completely desperate financial situation. It was not that the water was here, it was like here. So, as women often are, I try to find a way to fix my situation on my own, not asking people for help, not asking for welfare. And I was thinking from the left to the right and all around in my head, but I couldn't find any legal solution. But then occurred in my head, okay, it's legal in Germany to be prostituted, so I will do that. It's legal, it's a job. I'm a grown-up woman. I know myself, I know my body, I know my sexuality, and I had one-night stands, casual sex sometimes before, so why not? As in some media, the sex workers, so-called sex workers, said, why should I do it for Coca-Cola and the discotheque if I can get money for it? But that's not true. I had to find out the hard way. I didn't stop searching a job, so after a while, it was a few years, I finally found a job. So I stopped, and I didn't think about exit. I hadn't had the feeling that it was an exit, because in my head I never ever entered. It was just a job I do for a while, like working as a waitress or something like that. So I worked, I enjoyed the work, I enjoyed to have colleagues, I enjoyed to have a regular monthly income. It was nice. After 1 year I lost the job, and pretty soon I got back in the same situation I've been the time I entered prostitution. And that was a moment, this desperation, this fear of losing my existence, my house and everything, that puts me emotional back to the place I've been the time I entered prostitution, and I couldn't sleep anymore. I woke up crying. I was completely nervous. I couldn't do anything as I was. It was crazy. I didn't understand myself. It was like I'm a completely different person. I didn't know myself. I couldn't recognize myself in that. So I was thinking about what's happening and why this situation is now triggering so much more than before. And soon I made a connection between this experience and not in that moment the trauma, but with that experience. So I reached out to find help. This is organized in Germany in counties, so I only can use services which are offered in my county, not in other counties. The neighbor county, they have several help programs. A friend of mine worked in one, but she said, I cannot help you. I'm pretty sure you're right with your problem, but I cannot help you because I'm not allowed to spend money for women from another county. So I tried to find help in my county. I called the Christian social services, all of them, and they told me, oh, we never had that problem the last years. All the women are happy. We thought it's legal, so we never needed it, so we don't offer any service. just the same with the governmental health service, which is integrated in the HIV service. And once a week they offer service for prostituted women, but it's just an physical, genealogical inspection, examination, nothing else. And I talked to them, and they told me, yeah, we can help you fill out the welfare form. Please, that is the thing I can do myself. I already did. That was not the problem. The problem was what I suffered in. So I couldn't find help. And at that point, and all of them told me we never needed that before. We didn't need that before. Nobody needed it. In 12 years, please, we have 7 brothels in the county I live. And it's a small county, and we have 7 big brothels and many small. And they told me we never needed that before. In that moment, anger started in my stomach. It really was like a volcano. And I thought, no, that's not possible. Because the time I've been in prostitution, I found out that the girls are very, very young. Most of them don't speak German. Most of them are Roman, which are excluded from education, from social services, from welfare, from any kind of help in their home countries, and discriminated. It's a real hard racism in all of the countries, Bulgaria, Romania, Hungary, where the women come. And I've seen that in the brothels, and I thought, if it's hurting me so much, and I'm reaching out for help and cannot find, what's about an 18-year-old girl I've seen on the brothel? And my anger got even worse. So I started to search on the internet for information about the whole issue. And as it is like always, you find a lot of information. And I was thinking, that's not possible, because I remember 12 years ago, the politicians said, we legalize it, it will help the women, and we offer service all over Germany for women to exit prostitution and for social help. In fact, after 12 years, we have 30 services in 279 counties. Okay, we have complete states without anything. They don't even have a healthcare service. So I found out all this, and then I started writing in forums, feminist forums. I've been a feminist before, so I'm still. And I was writing, and I read things like, yeah, but if the woman likes it, if she's consenting it, and if she's enjoying it, it's her choice, and from strong feminists. So I started writing, just sometimes a few words, but under the protection of the internet and the anonymity, I could analyze myself, I could analyze what happened to me, and could write it down. And several people reacted, and one feminist magazine reacted too. So my activism, in fact, started with an interview, which is the opening of a book about the topic prostitution, a kind of anthology. And that day, my activism started. I met other feminists and other abolitionists. And 3 years ago, we started to build little groups on Facebook. The first I did on my own with 2 other women. And it's called We Men Don't Buy Women. We wanted to encourage men to stand up against prostitution, and they did. And on this Facebook page, we offered all information we could find about trafficking, prostitution in Germany and all around the world, and about this Nordic model. For a long time, we've been the only source for information about prostitution in Germany. So many people contacted us and said, we need to do something. And we built other groups with feminists, we built networks, I co-founded, and now we have a quite small but very strong abolitionist movement all around Germany, and I'm working with them. I started to talk about my experience, and each of these speeches, each of the panels, each of my testimonies, and each of the arguing with people about it is part of my healing. So, on the very first panel I've been on, I met Rachel Moran of Space International, and afterwards she asked me, would you like to be a member of an international group of survivors? And it was the first time I met a survivor like me, with a strong feminist intention behind her activism, with a good analysis of herself. So, and I felt this special connection all survivors all around the world have, because there's so many things even if you try very hard, you cannot explain, you cannot find words for. And I felt this immediate sisterhood. And she asked me if I would join, and I said, yes, I will. So I'm working now on the international and on the national level to help to raise awareness, because you should listen to the women which suffered and overcome all this. Because the time I've been in prostitution, I was like all the other women which are still in prostitution, to stand the situation, to handle the situation, to handle the pain, the constant rape. I always was saying, yeah, I'm doing it by choice, and it's nice, the men are so respectful, I get so much money of them, and I feel good, and it's nice, I love to serve men. But fact is, 50% was just to convince myself, and 50% was to convince the others. But the important 50% are the ones to convince myself. And for sure, if you're talking in public like the sex workers do right now, you have to imagine they're still in this business, they're still in the sex industry. So if they say, I don't like clients, they are ugly, I feel tortured by them if they rape me, who will buy a whore for abuse if she's saying, I don't like you, you smell ugly, I don't like to touch you, I don't like to be touched by you, I only do it because of the money you offer to me? Behind the scenes, behind the curtain, they're exactly talking like this to each other. They are ugly, they don't respect them, and that's the next point. The men take the dignity from the woman. In the same time, they take the dignity from themselves, because if you take the dignity of somebody else, you're losing your own. So it's a hurting situation, a damaging situation for all persons involved. That's not only the woman, that's not only the John, it's the women, the children of the Johns, it's the children, the partners of the women, and it's the whole society which is affected by what's happening if a man is buying a woman for abuse. What should I say to this woman? They just imagine how strong you are to stay in this brutal sex trade for such a time, even if it's a few weeks or years. You need really strength, mental strength, you need physical strength. Use this strength not to serve men. Use the strength to get yourself out of it. If you use only 10% of the strength you need to stand all this, what is happening to you in the sex trade, you will have a chance. And believe in yourself. I believe in you. I want to tell all the survivors that I really believe in their talents, in their ability to rise and to overcome all the struggles they had. You're wonderful, you're strong, you're beautiful, and you deserve much more than to be raped by men. And take your time to get to the point. And if you feel you can't stand it anymore, ask for help. I think this forum is very powerful because so many different points of view on the sex trade and on the legislation. It's so powerful because it shows how many levels of our society and our personalities are affected by prostitution. It's not just men buying a woman and be served. No, it's affecting the whole society. And I tell you, I experienced that. I am living in Germany all my life, and I can tell you now for young women which are growing up in an atmosphere of women are just whores, it's much worse than the time I grew up. Because the women are expected to serve the men the way the prostituted women do. Because the men think the women like it like that. And they do it by choice, so they expect their women, their partners, to do it the same. They organize, if they finish college, the parties are organized by the brothels. They offer it for a special price that all the young men can have the party there. Yeah. So, what do you think this will do to a society? And for all women which think that never could happen to me, or which think, yeah, but she did it by choice, she would have other options. There are situations you don't have other options, and you just have to think about how far, what would it need in your life that you come so far that you are willing to sell yourself for abuse. Could happen to everyone. You only have to be desperate enough. Or you'll be kidnapped. They tried to kidnap my daughter in a foreign country. Pimps. So that could happen to everyone, really to everyone.